What up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. If you're new, don't be. Go ahead and click that subscribe button to be a part of the Witness gang, to join the Witness Nation. Now let's get into this, shall we? Hello, you guys, and welcome to the channel. If you're new, don't be.
I'm Whitney. Keep it cute and get the boot.
Your girl, as whack as she is in all her glory, was in the New York Times.
What the hell is wrong with you people? Every famous nigga that gets arrested is not Nelson Mandela. Yes, the government conspires to put a lot of innocent black men in jail on fallacious charges. But R. Kelly is not one of those men. We all know the nigga can sing. But what happened to standards? What happened to bare minimums? You a fan of R. Kelly? You want to help R. Kelly? Then get some counseling for R. Kelly. Introduce him to some older women. Hide his camcorder. But don't pretend like the man is a hero.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to WhitneyD TV. Evidence over emotions. They called him daddy too, all right? And the reason why I wanted to start this particular series is to give a depiction of the boys, all right? Not only Jane Doe's, but John Doe's were privy to his abuse, okay? And we're going to talk about that. And I kind of want to give a compare and contrast of how he treated the females over the males, okay? So, but before we get into everything, welcome you guys. Place your city in the chat so I can see where you guys are tuning in from. Make sure you keep it cute so you won't get the boot, okay? Now, what that means is that you do not, you don't have to agree with me, child. I don't care one way or another, okay? What you eat don't make me. So you don't have to agree with me, but I do ask that with this being my platform that you respect it and that you just keep it cute, okay? So however way you feel that is absolutely fine, just make sure that you are respectful in that place, okay? All right. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, and like this video and share. Now, if you want more content like this, make sure that you click that notification bell, move it from personalized to all, so you can receive any and all updates pertaining to this channel, including this series, child. Okay. Now, I know this series is probably going to rub a lot of people wrong. I tend to rub a lot of people wrong, and I don't give a lot. Okay. But not for nothing, you guys. If you would like to join the channel, you can do so by clicking the link that is located in the description box down below. Okay. Now, if you would like to support me on a monetary basis, you can do so by sending me a super chat that's connected to the chat, or you can send me a cash app at WhitneyDTV87. All right. Now, fair use. Okay. This material is protected by fair use clause of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowing the rebroadcast of copywritten materials for the purpose of commentary, entertainment, and education. Okay, so I'm not just going to be talking my ish. I probably will be in between. That's when my commentary comes in, okay? And I will be giving my 2 cents on, being a product of sexual abuse myself. So that's where the education come in. And entertainment is us listening to this bull as if, nobody know this exists, okay? But not for nothing. That is that on the that. And then in the chat, I ask you to talk, okay? Give what you think about it, all right? Just make sure that you're respectful, okay? All right, before we begin, let me go ahead and give a shout out to the people that's in the chat. Hey, Mary Blue. Good evening, beautiful. Hey, Shawty says Tennessee salute, Whitney D. Hey, Texas salute to you, sister. Karen Crete, did I say that right? Or Crete says, hey from Chicago, Chi-Town, Chi-Town. Are you ready for August 1st? I am. Hey, Queen Keish. Hey, if you guys are members of the R. Kelly Open Discussion Group, if you guys can please go over there and share this video. I totally, absolutely, positively forgot to share this video. So if you guys can do so, that would be highly appreciated, okay? All right, you are? Right. Right. Can you tell me how to pronounce your last name? Is it Crate or is it Crate? Girl, they'll tell you here on Whitney D, baby. I have a horrible time at pronouncing names, Shell. Okay. You're gonna see it as I'm reading this transcript. Okay. But I try. All right, I try. So what is intel for tonight? And I'm just really just sharing right now as I'm talking to you guys. But what you guys have in store tonight is, simply put it, we're going to dive deep back into the transcripts of the John Does, okay? Because they don't get talked about as much, all right? They make it seem like these hot, fast, little young girls were the be all to the be all, when no. On the contrary, okay? He liked little boys too, okay? He really liked little boys more so than he liked little girls. He treated the boys way better than he treated the girls, okay? On the contrary, we also hear about the depiction of the parents, okay, with one particular John Doe that we're going to listen to on tonight, did the same thing, probably even more worse than Alice Clary, but nobody's talking about it, okay? And then we're going to hear about how he stole. Yeah, he stole, but he ain't got no recording, getting cussed out, getting belligerent. He just was able to give it back, and everything was all in forgiven. Yeah, that was in the transcripts. But people don't want to speak on that, okay? Because they don't want to see their Peking as a booty hole swiper. All right. But we're going to talk about that tonight. We sure are. Okay. And I got my settings set. Let me double check my settings to make sure we don't have no Jeeper creepers up in here. Because if you do come in here tonight with the crazy stuff, it's going to be a problem. So you're going to have to be at least a subscriber of 20 minutes. Yeah. So if you want to pop your ish, you're going to have to make sure that you subscribe to the channel. All right. All right. Kamiko says, hello, Whitney, DTV, and Witness gang. Crite. You said it right. Okay. Crite. All right. Oh, wow. That's sad. Yeah. Yeah. But they don't talk about that, sis. They don't talk about that, Karen. I think we got a Karen. We got two Karen J's, if I'm not mistaken. Now we got a Karen C. I hope I see you over here a lot more. Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and dive deep in everything. Okay. I am excited to read. We're going to literally be reading the transcript. So this is not no alleged. This is not my Whitney making anything up. This is not, oh, she, nope. No. This is me literally reading the transcripts, okay? And I'm going to stick to that because I don't want nobody at all, been able to say anything in regards to it. Now, again, I will be giving my commentary in between, but child, that's about it, okay? Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it, y'all. All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys. If anybody comes in, let them know I say hello. Okay, and let me update everything. Oh, hey girl, hey, I'm looking good. I'm watching the playback. Shouts out to Shay Michelle Cosmetics real quick. Let me go ahead and put this plug in, okay? I am featuring Galactic. It's the darker ring, and then Fabulous. It's that ombre, that lighter effect. You may not be able to see it, but I'm gonna post pictures later, so you'll be able to see it. Okay, but shouts out to Shay Michelle Cosmetics. In the description box, you can check her out. And then Shazazz Creations is on the T. Okay, tell me where that scene is from. Okay, tell me where that scene is from. Okay, all right. So I think that's it. What was I doing? Okay, yeah, brain fart. I need to update the title real quick. Not the title, but boom. All right. Let me go ahead and pull up this transcript. Because we're going to talk about it. All right. Okay. Got it pulled up. Now let me share my screen. And boom. All right. Okay. And shouts out to the R. Kelly Open Discussion Group on Facebook. Okay. They keep you fully aware of what goes on with the R. Kelly case. Okay. So shouts out to them. If you guys aren't privy to the group, man, say, like when I tell you highly informed, okay? All right. So I don't know how y'all want me on here. I think that's good. I'll be off to the side. Okay. Let's go ahead and get into it, Joe. Okay. Let's go. Okay. Let's go. All right. Okay. Lewis. All right. Sworn/affirmed was examined and testified as follows. The court. A couple of things, and y'all, when you hear the court, that is Judge Donnelly, okay? Just for those that aren't privy to it, okay? That is Judge Donnelly, okay? Miko says, hello, people in the bushes. Hit the like button and share this video. Show some love on Cashapp. Thank you so very much. Yes, ma'am. Let's go, y'all. Let's get into it, okay? All right. The court. A couple of things before we get started. Our court reporter takes down everything that you say. So just don't speak too quickly. It makes their job harder. And the witness, which is Lewis, states, okay, Judge Donnelly. For the same reasons, make sure that you let whichever lawyer is asking you questions finish before you start speaking again. So it doesn't make their job too hard. If there is a question that you need to have repeated or isn't clear, tell me. I'll have the lawyer rephrase it. And just do your best to answer only the question that you're being asked, okay? Lewis, okay. The judge, go ahead. Ms. Gideon, thank you. Direct examination by Ms. Gideon. Good afternoon. Hello. I'm showing the witness only what is marked for identification as Government's Exhibit 64. Do you recognize what is shown in Government's Exhibit 64? He says yes. What is that? It's me. Is that a photo of you? Yes. Approximately how old were you when this photograph was taken? 16 or 17? The government offers Government's Exhibit 64. The judge, any objection? Mr. Koenig, no objection. Government Exhibit 64 was received in evidence. Ms. Gideon goes on to say, may I publish? The judge says yes. I'm now showing the witness only what is marked for identification as Government Exhibit 64A. Is the photograph in 64A the same photograph as was just shown in Government's Exhibit 64? Yes. Now, underneath this photograph, is that your true first and last name? Yes. The Government's Exhibit offers 64A. The judge, any objection? Mr. Koenig, none. Government Exhibit 64A was received in evidence. Ms. Gideon goes on to say, we ask it be published to the jury only. The judge, jury only. For today's purposes, We're going to refer to you as Lewis. All right? Okay. Finally, I'm showing the witness only what is marked for identification as 64B. The 64B contained that same photograph? Yes. And below there, does it say Lewis? Yes. Government offers 64B. Panic. No objection. Government Exhibit 64B was received in evidence. The judge. That's an evidence. Ms. Gideon. May we publish? Sorry, I got something in my throat. The judge. Yes. Now, how old are you today? 32. Are you currently working? No. Were you previously employed? Yes. Now, what type of work did you previously do? Warehouse management. Now, are you married? Rewind. He asked me the question to the dude that was getting his butt broke by R. Kelly. Are you married today? Let's see what he said. Yes. Do you have any children? She's asking if the dude that was receiving fellatios at 17 by R. Kelly, did he reproduce life? Did he have kids? Let's see what he said. Yes. When were you born? February 11th, 1989. Y'all, he's younger than me. By 2 years. In what neighborhood did you live growing up? Hazelcrest, Illinois. Where is that in reference to downtown Chicago? 40 minutes south. Hazelcrest is south of downtown Chicago. Is that right? Yes. Where did you go to high school? Hillcrest High School. Did you graduate high school? Yes. When did you graduate? May of 2007. So based on being born in 1989, fair to say you turned 18 in February of your senior year of high school? Yes. So now you guys, what they're doing right now, they're establishing a timeline. Okay. That's why when people be talking about some, oh, they were 18 and no. They're establishing a timeline. They're trying to gather when he would have technically been of age, because it's going to come about into play on down the line. Let's continue. What, if any, interest did you have during high school? Football, basketball, music. What type of music were you interested in? Hip hop. Were you interested as a spectator or a performer? As an artist? Now, hold on, y'all, because I want to highlight that. I want to make sure we're able to go back to it easily. Okay, I want to highlight that. Okay. Did you work during high school? You say yes. Where did you work? McDonald's. Yeah, sounds about right. McDonald's. All right. Let's highlight that too, shall we? Okay. McDonald's. During high school, when you were working at the McDonald's, where was it located? Markham, Illinois. Let me delete that. I don't like that. Markham, Illinois. Do you remember when you started working at the McDonald's in Markham, Illinois? He said, yes. When was that? My sophomore year in high school. Now, I don't know if many of you guys remember your yesteryears of high school, but if I'm not mistaken, let's see, 18, 17, 16, 15. Normally, your sophomore year, you're like 16, 15, 16 years old in your sophomore year. Okay, let's continue. Where is Markham in relation to Hazel Crest, where you were living when you were growing up? He said about 10 minutes away. I'm showing the witness only what is marked for identification as Government's Exhibit 522A. Do you recognize Government's Exhibit 522A? He says yes. I'm also showing the witness only 522B. Do you recognize that? He says yes. What is shown in Government Exhibit 522A and B? He states McDonald's in Markham, Illinois. The McDonald's where you worked? Say yes. Now, are those photographs of McDonald's of how the McDonald's appeared when you were working there in high school? He says yes. Ms. Gideon says the government offers. Ms. Candace says no objection. Government Exhibit 522A and B was received in evidence. The judge goes on to say they are in evidence. You can publish them. Ms. Gideon says thank you. The examination goes on with the question. I'll start with 522A. I'm showing what is in evidence as Government's Exhibit 1. Do you recognize the individual shown in Government's Exhibit 1? He states yes. Who is that? He states R.KELLY. This is where the plot thickens, okay? Thank you, Kamiko. Kamiko says, I have a sophomore. He's 16 going on 7. He's 15 going on 16. I told you, right? All right. Keep those numbers, you guys. Do you personally know R.KELLY? He says yes. Do you see him in the courtroom today? He says yes. Can you point to him and describe an article of his clothing? He goes on to say right there, he has a blue jacket. Now, if you guys remember the opening of our production, okay, of this show, I have a particular video in there where you see Lewis is literally pointing, okay, pointing across, and he's identifying R.KELLY, okay? So it ain't no confusion. It ain't no, no. He knew who he was. He identified him to be as such, okay? Hey, it's Quaisha. Hey, Sophia. The judge says indicating the defendant. Ms. Gideon says, thank you. She goes on to ask the question, do you recall when you first met the defendant? He says, yes. She goes on to say, where were you when you first met the defendant? He says, McDonald's. Not too hard, not too deep, right? We know R.KELLY to love him some McDonald's. Okay, it brings him back to his childhood with his mama. Okay. Now, what were you doing at McDonald's? He says, working the drive-thru. Where did you first encounter the defendant? At the drive-thru window. I'm showing what is in evidence as 522B. Is this the photograph that you just identified of the drive-thru? He says yes. Now, what when you were working at the drive-thru when you encountered the defendant? What happened when you were working at the drive-thru when you encountered the defendant? He responds and says, I was working the night shift overnight. The Maybach came up to the window. It was a driver up there. And the next thing I know, the Maybach moves forward. Okay. And Mr. Kelly asked me who was the lady working that was behind me, which was the manager. And I told him who she was. And he told me, can I hook it up? Pause. Let's reenact this, shall we? Okay. So basically, what we hearing happen is that you see the driver, right? And he pulls up only to have the window there with R.Kelly. Now, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen, is his first line of baiting. Okay? This is him feeling Lewis out. Okay? We're going to continue, and I'm going to show you how, okay? But this is him baiting Lewis, okay? And he told me, can I hook him up? Goes on to say, so I went over there and told the lady. She didn't know who he was. She was like Hispanic. She didn't know who he was, and he knew that. Okay? Let's be very clear. R.Kelly knew that this was old Mexican lady, okay? Probably back there minding her business, cleaning up the counter, just chilling, whatever, and he like hooked me up. See, he's building a rapport with Lewis at this point, like homeboy, you know, like, bro, hey, can you put me down, right? Which, it happens, okay? I remember working at McDonald's myself, and ninjas be trying to holler through the drive-thru. Nothing major about that. However, let's be real, okay? Us knowing the history of R. Kelly, this is him baiting and building a rapport with Lewis to kind of like, let's continue. She didn't know who he was. She was like Hispanic. She didn't know who he was. So I just told her, the guy that sings I Believe I Can Fly. And I went back. I told her, she was like, yeah. And then I went back to the window, told him that she just wanted his number. And he looked at me like, you really did that for me? And he looked like, you really did that for me? I said, yeah. What did I tell y'all? What did I tell y'all? This is him building a rapport with Lewis, that whole buddy type of situation. Kind of making it seem like, oh, you did that for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh. So then it kind of brings about a sense of, you get it? You get that? Yeah. Tickling his fancy. Playing in his face, basically. Because, like, this happened every day in the hood, B. All the girls at the windows of restaurants get hit on. There ain't nothing special. But when you're dealing with a child, come on, somebody. All right now. Okay, so let's y'all come on now. Here we go. We back in the thick of it. And my husband's over here. He's a man, and this is the series where we're gonna be talking about the men in R. Kelly's life. Okay, so we can. Okay, let's continue. He gave me 2 pieces of paper. One for her, and one was for me. Now, no shade, no tea. I mean, again, with my husband being over here, I can ask him, would he felt the way? Well, I don't know. That's R. Kelly, so I'm not even gonna. I mean, that's different. Okay, I ain't even gonna put that out there because I'll be like, I would have felt away. But that's R. Kelly. I wouldn't have. I would have been like, oh crap, yeah, sure, heck yeah, I get to kick it with R. Kelly. You probably know what he was getting himself into. But see, again, I mean, shouldn't we be like, well, shouldn't he know better? Shouldn't he know his past? Why would he receive his number? Right? Ain't that what we do with all the girls? I digress. Let's continue. He told me, hit him up to hang out sometime. How old were you when you met the defendant at the drive-thru at McDonald's? 17. He was 17 years old, ladies and gentlemen. 17. Such a groupie. Whitney, just a groupie. But let's see what he did with that piece of paper. Okay, that number. That infamous balled up piece of paper. Okay, let's see. What year in high school were you? He said senior. You mentioned a Maybach. What do you know about a Maybach? He said Maybach is a vehicle. Who was in the Maybach when you encountered the defendant? Reassuring, basically, his identification of the defendant. He says Robert Kelly and a driver. He goes on to say there was also, she also asked, there was also a driver there? He says yes. She goes on to ask, you mentioned, had you previously seen that Maybach at McDonald's? He says yes. On prior occasions, when you had seen the Maybach, where was the defendant at that time? He said, I would never see him, but it normally would only be the driver that speaks at the window. Normally. What made this encounter different? She goes on to ask, so it was a little bit different because you actually saw the defendant in the Maybach at this time. He says yes. What was on the piece of paper, the two pieces of paper that the defendant gave you that day? He stated his number. Now, what, if anything, did you do with those two pieces of paper? Oh, ho, 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 ho. This is where it gets interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what he did with the piece of paper. Okay, let's see what this groupie little boy, little 17 hot tail little boy did with this piece of paper with his fast self, right? Let's see what he did with his hot cock, right? Because the girls is hot twats, right? Let's see what he did with his hot behind, just fast, right? Let's see what he did with this piece of paper. Should have just balled it up, should know better. What, if anything, did you do with those two pieces of paper? He responds and says, actually, I threw the one away for the lady. She didn't know who he was. So I threw that one away. And I kept the other one and gave it to my mother. I kept the other one and gave it to my mama. Oh, well, why would he do that? What? He gave it to his mother? Shame on him. Shame on that mother, right? What did that horrible parent do with that piece of paper? Let's find out. and I kept the other one and gave it to my mother. Now, you said you threw away the paper. Did you tell the defendant you were going to throw away the paper? He said no. No. Well, why did you give the other piece of paper, the one you didn't throw away, to your mom? Like, yeah, why would you give that to your mama? Like, what does she have to do with any of that? Like, why would this hot, fast grown little boy give that piece of paper to his mama? Let's see why, shall we? Because I was too nervous to call myself. Well, did you see what your mother, if anything, your mom did with the piece of paper? He says yes. What did she do? Put it in her Bible, and she eventually called him. I thought only Miss Alice did that. With her trifling behind. I thought Miss Alice was the only one reaching out to R.Kelly. I thought Miss Alice was the only one, being momature. But he had a trifling mama too, right? Just trifling, putting that piece of paper in the nerve of her, in her Bible. And what's she doing calling R.Kelly? Don't she know about his history? Don't she know how pedophilia he is? How disgusting he is? How vile he is? What he did to Aaliyah? Why didn't the mama just ball up the paper? Where were the parents? No outrage. The mama put the number in her phone, in her Bible, and eventually called him. Because her son was too nervous to talk to the likes of an R.Kelly. Let's continue this, though. We're not finished. Let's see what transpired, shall we? Were you present when your mom called that telephone number? He says yes. But the funny thing with the likes of Azriel and Lewis, Azriel wasn't there when the correspondence happened. Yeah, remember when we was talking about the text message and I broke that down and we came to find out that she didn't even know about the conversation that allegedly happened with R.Kelly and her mom. Yeah. She went snooping through the phone. If you ask me, I think that R.Kelly told her, but not for nothing. She went and discovered on down the line, right? But Lewis was privy and present when mama reached out to R.Kelly. Let's see what this mama did. Let's see what the mama did. And were you able to hear the conversation? He says, yes. How were you able to hear the conversation? She had it on speakerphone. She had it on speakerphone. She had it on speakerphone. So this ain't no alleged. This ain't no I think or maybe. He heard it firsthand. Let's see how that conversation went. What did you hear your mother say when she called the telephone number that the defendant gave to you on that piece of paper? Objection. Yeah, Mr. Kennedy. But the judge overruled. She was just telling him on the phone how I was a big fan of his music, and I was like rapper, coming up rapper, and let him know how much of a fan I was, and I would be willing, that I would love to work with him on my music. How, if at all, did the defendant respond after your mom told him about your musical aspirations? He said he appreciated that, we was fans of his music, and that he was going to have a party coming up. And did he provide any additional information about the party? Yes. He told me, he told my mother that me and my father and her could come to the party. Wait, 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 wait. Rewind. You mean to tell me? Hold on. Where were the parents? Where were the parents? Right there. Yeah, because it seems as though it says right here, okay? He told me, he told my mama, okay, that me and my daddy and her could come to the party. Gaddis, you mean his mama, his daddy too? Were there at the party? No. Were they trifling behind? Did they not know about his past? Shame on them. Now, at the time that your mother first called the defendant, have you spent any time in a recording studio? See, now we're establishing history of his musical history. Because see, like on the contrary, everybody want to say that these people ain't musically talented. Azrael can't sing, you're live from hell. And that's why she picked back up there after he after she left his ass, okay? And then Joy, on the contrary, we found out that she had some kind of aspiration of singing, okay? All right? And all these people that came in by way of R.Kelly has some kind of musical ambition or some kind of form of talent in some kind of magnitude. So you're going to hear, and we've heard now a second situation where a momature situation happened, where she's letting this man know, yes, my son can rap. He has aspirations. He's a fan of yours, yada, 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 yada. Okay. Now, at the time that your mother first called the defendant, had you spent any time in the recording studio? He answers yes. Doing what? He says making demos, like 1 or 2 songs. And when you said, did you say making demos? Is that correct? He says yes. Demo tape featuring your music. He says yes. Now, did you attend the party that the defendant mentioned in the first phone call? He says yes. Where was the party held? That at his house in Olympia Fields. Where within the defendant's house in Olympia Fields was the party? He says in the front room, the living room. She goes on to ask, do you remember when the party was? He says, I just remember it like around the holidays, because I just remember it being cold outside and him having a Christmas tree and everything. It just seemed like it was a holiday around that time, maybe November, December. Again, trying to establish a timeline. Okay? So let's remember that, okay? His birthday wasn't until February, right? But this situation was months before, November, December time, okay? So make sure you guys are remembering this, okay? November, December, okay? Now she goes on to ask, of 2006, your senior year? He says, yes. Who, if anyone, came with you to that party at the defendant's house in Olympia Field? My mother and father. Where were the parents? My mother and father. Where were the parents? My mother and father. If anyone came with you to that party at the defendant's house in Olympia Fields, my mother and father. My mother and my father. The difference is that he established this invite in front of the parents. So he had no choice but to further facilitate the settings with him. On the contrary, one might say, well, the parents weren't there for Azriel. He didn't set up those arrangements with Azriel's mother. Oh, no. We heard Azriel on the stand state that her and R.KELLY, the defendant, and her established those arrangements. Yeah, that's why her mother and father were working. Oh, but this ain't the first meeting that Lewis has with R.KELLY. But let's continue this particular, situation. And just to be clear, when you were talking about your mom and your dad, was it your biological father or somebody else? He says my stepfather. Same difference. And the defendant's party at Olympia Fields that you attended with your parents, did you recognize anyone at the party? He said yes. Who did you recognize there? He answers, Robert Kelly and George Daniels. Mr. Pennant says, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. He repeats, George Daniels and Robert Kelly. Who did you understand George Daniels to be? He responds, someone that helped develop artists. That's who I thought it was, because around I heard that he helped artists. This video is going on to say, I'm showing the witness only what's been marked for identification as government's Exhibit 90. Do you recognize government's Exhibit 90? He says yes. What is government Exhibit 90? George Davis. Government offers Exhibit 90. According any objection, panic, none. All right, that's in evidence. Government's Exhibit 90 received in evidence. Hideous, may we publish, please? Judge says yes. What, if any, interaction did you have with George Daniels at the defendant's party? He says, my mom told him, he had let him know about my good music, so that I was an up-and-coming artist trying to get into the music industry. And did you hear how George Daniels responded? So yes, he would say, we should try to get him to work with Rob, and if he is willing, what do you want to do? And was the defendant present for that initial conversation between your mom and George Daniels? He says no. Did you have an opportunity to speak with the defendant at the first party that you attended in Olympia Fields? He said yes. And what was the context in which you spoke with the defendant? Listen to this. He says, so we had took a picture together. George Daniels had took it on my phone at the time. We had took the picture, and after the picture, he just told me in my ear that maybe it would be best sometime if I come to the party by myself. Rewind. He just told me in my ear, not his mama, not the stepdaddy that was there, not even George Daniels, but R. Kelly told him in his ear that maybe it would be best sometime if I come to the party by myself. Make an arrangement without the parent. Now, you said that we had taken a picture together. Who did you mean by we in that sentence? It says Robert. And was George Daniels present when there was a picture taken? It says yes. He took the picture. You hear your phone? It says yes. And who was the picture of? It said me and Robert. And how did it come to be that George Daniels took a picture of you and Robert? He says he had told him that this kid is trying to do music and maybe you should give him one shot. George Daniels told the defendant that you were trying to do music. Is that right? He says yes. Now, you said that someone whispered something in your ear. Is that correct? He says yes. Who whispered something in your ear? Who did that? Who said that? He said Robert. Sounds like an interesting pattern that this man does. See, he talks to the parent first to establish that smoke and mirror, and then he lures the child in. Where's the outrage? Where's the parent? Right across, watching their son take a picture and getting whispered to it in the ear. Horrible parent. The defendant? Yes. What did the defendant say to you? That it would be best if I come by myself to the party sometime. And who had you come to the party with? My parents. It will be different if the parents were there. What? Yeah, see, we got countless examples of when the parents aren't there. And now we have an example of when the parents is right there. How dare they be such horrible parents and watch this pedo lure their son in? How? Where were they? That wouldn't happen to me. I will be right there. And still, this boy got reprimanded, handled by this pedo. Did you see the defendant again after the party? He says yes. Now, why would he do that? Why? How did you come to see the defendant again? My mom took me over there to go to the studio. Such a horrible parent. Didn't she know about his past? his pedophilia behavior. Didn't she know better than that to drop him off at the studio like that? How dare that horrible mother? Shame on her. How did it come to be that you were going to the studio with your mom? My mom called him again. Wait a minute. What? What? Oh, trifling mama, calling him again. She is just trifling. Were you present for that conversation? Yes. And what, if anything, did you hear your mom say when she called the defendant a second time? Telling him that I wanted to do music and I've been working on my music. How did the defendant respond during that phone conversation? He told my mother to bring me back to the studio. Where was the studio located? Downstairs. Downstairs with respect to what? Oh, downstairs at his house in Olympia Hills. So basically, the mama with her trifling behind took her son back to the house. Not even a legitimate studio offsetting from the house, but back to his house, basically. The same location where the party was held? He says yes. And did you, in fact, go back to the defendant's house? He said yes. Who brought you there, or how did you get there? He said, my mother. And did your mother stay with you at the defendant's house that day? He said no. Nope. All by myself. What did she do? Dropped him off at the gate. Okay? Dropped him off at the gate. Can you describe the outside of the defendant's house in the Olympia Fields? When you first arrive, it's a big black gate. It's a very long driveway. House is right in front of you. Very big house. And to your right is a garage. And I'm showing what's in evidence as government exhibit 502A. Do you recognize that? He says yes. What is that? He said Robert's house. And is that the gate you were just referring to where my pen is pointing? Indicating. Yes. And I'm also showing 502C. Do you recognize that? He says yes. What is that? He says Robert's house. Just to be clear, is this the house that you went to for both the party and that second time when your mother dropped you off? He says yes. When you went to the defendant's house that second time, how were you able to get through the gate? He said security at the gate. Do you recall who was present serving as security? He says yes. Her name was Candy. I'm showing you what's in evidence as Government Exhibit 22. Do you recognize Government Exhibit 22? He says yes. Who is that? He says Candy. And is that the Candy who helped you through the gate that day? He says yes. What happened after your mom dropped you off at the studio? He says, I had got to the studio. I had to wait for a little while, sat in the waiting area to wait. And Robert came down, him and another gentleman, we went in the studio together, and he was like, all right, let me hear what you got. At the time, I had it was like a cassette tape with the instrumental on it already. The instrumental, it had the instrumental on the tape. Played the tape, and I started to rap for them. When you said Robert, who were you referring to? Robert Kelly. And how did they respond after you started to rap to the instrumental on the cassette tape that you brought? And this is the last page, you guys. They say I sounded pretty good. They said you got some potential. And what, if anything, did you hear them say? He says they told me I got some potential. Now, did you recognize or did you learn the name of the other individual who was there that day? He says yes. Who was that? Name was Pat. What did you understand Pat's role to be? Why was he there? Why did you understand he was there? He was like I'm not sure if he like music, like someone that helps with the music, like the production of the music. I'm showing the witness only what's been marked for identification only as Government Exhibit 51. Do you recognize Government Exhibit 51? He says yes. Who is that? That's Pat. Is that the individual that was with the defendant in this studio that day? He says yes. And we're going to stop there, okay? We're going to see what transpired on the next episode of They Called Him Daddy too, okay? The John Doe's of R.KELLY. Now we're discussing Lewis Richard Arline Jr., okay? All right? And this is so interesting. We're already getting to interesting parts in comparison to the Jane Does. But no selective, it's just a selective outrage for me. Same situation. Received a number, called out or text out to see if this is real. Okay. Contact on several occasions thereafter, made arrangements. The only difference is the arrangements that was made, really is no different, because we're actually about to see that the arrangement that was made without the parents was sexual. Okay. Just like it was in the lines of Azriel or Joy and all of that. When those parents weren't there, he did his due diligence of making sure something was established. And he's done this, and this is pattern, you guys. Okay? Not for nothing, you guys. That concludes this particular episode of Evidence Over Emotions. They Called Him Daddy too. Okay? The John Does of R. Kelly, Lewis Richard Arline Jr. Okay? So we will be back here, same back time, same back place on next Tuesday for part 2, where we hear exactly what happened in this encounter that he had with R. Kelly, along with none of his parents there. You're going to hear about this big old grown, nasty, 6-foot-something man crawling on his knees to this 17-year-old boy, giving him fellatio, okay? And the onslaught, okay? So make sure you guys stay tuned here for next week's installation of They Called Him Daddy too. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in. I will see you guys on next week. Thank you guys. Bye.
What the hell is wrong with you people? Every famous nigga that gets arrested is not Nelson Mandela. Yes, the government conspires to put a lot of innocent black men in jail on fallacious charges. But R. Kelly is not one of those men. We all know the nigga can sing. But what happened to standards? What happened to bare minimums? You a fan of R. Kelly? You want to help R. Kelly? Then get some counseling for R. Kelly. Introduce him to some older women. Hide his camcorder. But don't pretend like the man is a hero.
Don't you just love trolls? Said no one ever. What if I told you I know how to minimize, virtually erase your channel trolls? Yeah, that's right. Hi, I'm Whitney D of Whitney D TV, and with my two-step process, get your trolls under your thumb. What does trolling mean? To antagonize others online by deliberately posting inflammatory, irrelevant, or offensive comments, or other disruptive content. Trolls engage in the most outrageous and offensive behavior possible, all the better to troll you with. As a content creator myself, I dealt with trolling head on into the start of my YouTube career, and it was devastating. As time went on, however, I discovered settings and controls that helped me minimize and virtually erase trolling, and I loved it. Doing these easy steps changed everything. Click the link below to get my ebook on how to stop trolling. What up, what up? Hey, lovelies. We are now on Apple Podcasts. Yes, yes, yes. For my iPhone users, just a little something for you. Head over to the Apple Podcast app and type in Whitney D TV in the search bar and click the check to add me to your dashboard and listen to your girl on the go. Powered by Anchor FM by way of Spotify. What up, you guys? Whitney D here with Whitney D TV, and we have merch! Check it out in the description box down below. I'm Whitney. Keep it cute.